Hi, my name is Mark Vanderberg, and I am the host of the Gun Rights Advocates podcast. I ask my listeners quite a bit to send in audio comments or to do their own little thing on how it is to get a license to carry in their state, or how it is as far as transferring firearms or firearms laws in their state. And I've come to the conclusion that uh, the reason maybe that I don't get a huge amount of these things is that maybe people don't actually know how to record as I didn't as when I first started doing the podcast. And so this is going to be a little tutorial on how you, the listener to the podcast, can contribute to the podcast. This is set up so that you can do it as cheap as possible. I sure wouldn't want anyone to go out there and spend money just to contribute. Uh, the only thing that you're really going to have to spend money on is going to be the microphone that you have. If you don't already have a headset microphone, if you already have one, the one you have probably will do just fine. There's two different styles of microphones that you can get. One would be a USB headset microphone, and that one would probably be the best bet because it's basically a sound card built into it, so it's totally separate. But if you already have the 1/8 inch, quarter-inch jack plug-in type style, and you've already used it and everything, that'll work just fine. Actually, that's what I'm using right now to record this. So first thing, like I said, what you're going to do is you're going to want a headset, and here is a headset that has been recommended by several people on the net. Um, this headset is the USB style, and you can pick it up on Amazon or Newegg.com for about $40. I prefer Newegg.com, but this is Amazon's site, and so you could pick up this site or one similar to it, similar product on another site somewhere else. As you can see, it's got the double headphones, unlike what I'm using right now. I've got a single headphone. And if you see the little box here, that is basically like your sound card basically built in, and it plugs in your USB, and you've got a mute button and everything else. It's got a nice little microphone for it. That's probably would be your biggest expense. Now you can get off a whole lot cheaper if you were to use a 1/8 inch jack type style one. I think I bought mine for under $20. It doesn't sound real bad. The only problem is on like on my sound card, I have an internal sound cards built into the motherboard that actually creates noise. So there may be a little bit of noise in this audio, and the reason that is because of that onboard audio card. Audio is very sensitive, and sometimes it has to be isolated more from other electronics. I mean, they do work, but sometimes you generate noise. So if you want the best quality sound, a USB one would probably be your best bet. Now the next thing you're going to need is some software, and the software you can get, we'll go right up here, is Audacity. Audacity is a program that is a free open source program that you can use to record anything. So if you want to record voice comments for other podcasts, if you have children, things I've done in the past is as when your kids are little and they're just learning how to talk or whatever, get them to talk into microphones and things like that, and save those things. You can actually then put that stuff on CD, and later on down the road, put that treasure that you have from the kids when they were little in a safety deposit box and bring it out one year when they're about 15 years old after recorded it, say when they were 3, and it's quite interesting, their reactions. But like I said, Audacity is a free program, open source. This is kind of a little view of what it basically looks like here. So basically, it's basically a basic auto editing mixing program. We're not going to get into a lot of the deep stuff into it because there's only a very few things that you need to know as far as being able to record audio. But the first thing you need to do is you're going to need to go in and download this program. Right on their website here, you have a couple different things here you can download. I would suggest to go ahead and download the beta. I'm actually using the beta now. The beta is going to look different than version 1.2.6, and because of that and the tutorial I'm doing here, I'm actually using the beta. So you may want to go ahead and download the beta and use that. I haven't found any problems with it. I'm using it right now in Windows Vista and it seems to work just fine there, so you shouldn't have any problems really with it as far as what we're going to be doing here in the tutorial about it, so you should be just fine. Now we can go ahead and I'll click up here and bring up Audacity so we can look at that. And what you're going to notice about Audacity, if we do a little tour here, you're going to see that you have a record button here, and then you have your stop button here, you got your play button, and you have your pause button. What we're going to end up doing first here is, because now you know what the buttons are, that's pretty standard on most things. You'll see that you have a way to increase your microphone volume here, and you have a way of decreasing your headset volume here if you've got your headset plugged in that way. I usually don't, but usually just the microphone. I don't need to hear anything. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up Audacity so that we can actually use it. And in the settings that I need to have you send me, you're going to actually send me a WAV file. You're not going to send me an MP3. The reason you're not going to send me an MP3 is because an MP3, you lose the quality. So what I want to do is I want you to send me a file at full quality. And we'll get into how to transfer that file to me, because depending on how long you speak, this file can be quite large. I mean, it could be hundreds of megs in size. And that's the reason most people use MP3s, is because you can shrink that 100 meg file, several hundred meg file, down into several megabytes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Edit. And now you're not going to be able to see this, but all the way down at the Edit bar here, there's Preferences. Because of the way we're recording this, it cuts it off so I can get the proper screen shot here. Okay, now this is the preference pane that we brought up here, and you're going to see that you have quite a few different options here. Now this is different, like I said, if you're using Audacity 1.2.6, this is actually going to be a different look and feel. But what you have here in the audio I/O, is that you're going to have to set your playback and your recording device here. Now mine are already set. You may have to play around with this to see what works, and you may have, if I drop down here, you see you have several different options and stuff. So you may have to play around with that to see which one will actually record your microphone input. One thing here that we need to change is, by default, this is set to stereo. We don't need stereo. All we need is a mono. Stereo basically doubles the tracks, which you're going to basically be recording, your voice on two separate tracks, which actually doubles the size of the file. And we don't need that. Everything I record is in mono anyhow, so make sure you change that, and that way it'll always be that way when you set yours up. So the other thing here that I would suggest doing would be to click on this little box here, so that or to click off this box. That's it. Click off that box, because you don't want to be able to play something else as you're recording. That would be very distracting to do. And as far as your playback, whatever, if you're ever actually going to listen through the headset or whatever, you can set that too. If you want to, then once you record it, you can hit play it back in your headset so you can hear what you've done. Everything else here we're going to go ahead and leave the same. Now if we go over to the quality, now this is some settings that you can change that'll make it a little bit smaller. This is what I need as far as the sample rates. If you look at these settings here, the default, this is not the default. Normally sample rate, I think it's set at 32. We really don't need that quality, for just audio comments to the podcast or stuff. So you can go ahead and change it to 16. Everything else here we can leave the same. I will click over to file format. You won't be able to see that. And here is where you're going to need to click on